Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got a disassembly and maintenance video for you on this little guy right here. This is the CRKT CEO Compact, the Mini CEO or something like that. Either way, it's a CEO and it's tiny. All right, so what we're going to go ahead and do is pop out the pivot here. It does not appear to be free spinning, which is nice. We do, however, have... Oh no, that's just the shape of the pivot. There's a little bit of a collar down at the bottom there. Whatever. Not the end of the world. And then grab the other part here. That was a T8. Now I'm going to move to a T6 here for the back side. And the knife is trying to disassemble itself in my hands, and so my general policy is to let it. And I'm going to very carefully pop the blade out so that I can lift this part off. A little bit of thread locker down there appears to have caught that part on, but let's go ahead and lift, and we're done. That was easy enough. We see there are no loose bearings or anything like that. They're all little tiny bearings in a little tiny bearing race. I use my little watch spring bar tool to pop that loose. What is that extra hole here? I have no idea what this hole is. I have zero idea. Okay. Maybe it's just a fixturing thing? No, because that would... I don't know. Maybe it's a weird machining defect. Either way, I can't think of any reason that would be there. It's not like the knife has a half stop, and in fact, it looks to me like the detent ball path is... Looks to me like the detent ball path down here is running outside of that. So I don't freaking know. I have no idea. But luckily I don't need to. Doesn't affect anything either way. So let's go on ahead and move on. I'm using a little cloth here with some rubbing alcohol on it. If you're curious about any of the tools I'm using, go ahead and check out nickshabazz.com/tools, where I have a curated list of all of the tools that are being used. Well, okay. They have historically been used and are being used. There is a tool spectacular going on over there. Okay, let's go ahead and push the pivot through here. That'll allow me to wipe down this section, as well as to wipe down the pivot itself, which could collect a little bit of gumption here. Wipe this part down as well. Now what I'm going to do is clean off the bearings. So again, using a little bit of rubbing alcohol here, just going to grab the bearing and do one of these things to it. That'll let me clean off anything that's on there. Come here, bearing. There we go. And clean that off. And I'm going to go ahead and wipe off the detent ball. But aside from that, there's really not a whole heck of a lot that needs to be done here. This is in pretty good shape, as one would really hope, coming fresh from the factory. But let's go ahead and put it back together. I'm going to go ahead and start off by using some knife pivot lube here. Just your general purpose at KPL. And putting it around there. There we go. And I'm going to put a little bit right on this bearing race area so that the bearings spin freely. I am going to rotate, rotate, rotate. That there. So that way that stays in position. I want to do that a little bit more rotation there. My goal here is just to distribute the lubrication onto the bearings themselves. Next up, I'm going to put a little bit of lubrication into your detent ball hole here. That will be distributed along the detent ball path, and put a little more there and a little more here while I have it in my hand. This will again distribute that lubrication. Now I drop this in place. There is no stop pin because it is mounted inside the blade. We can see here that these little cutouts here interact with this little stud here to make sure... I've been zoomed in this whole time. Whoops. But anyways, to make sure that everything is working fine. Ay, ay, ay. So that should work fine. Rotate, rotate. Which direction is this going? This is going... So this little cutout here is matched by this cutout on this side, so I need to make sure it's that direction. And now I'm going to pull down the lock bar. That should allow me to get everything closed up here. I'm going to kind of pinch a little bit. so that I get onto this back part. I'm not quite there yet. Why does that not want to go in place? I'm going to play a dangerous game, and I'm going to use the screw to tighten that down. So let's go on ahead and put together the pivot. This is T8. Grab my cloth here. Just run the pivot inside the cloth for a moment to clean off some of that gunk. And one more time, because oof. Another time. It's days like this where I wish I had an ultrasonic cleaner. Not because I cannot, can't afford one or couldn't use it for the channel. No, it's just the fact is most people don't have one. So if I do all my disassembly and maintenance videos with an ultrasonic cleaner, everyone's going to be like, oh my God, I don't have an ultrasonic cleaner. I can't take apart my... I'm like, dude, no, you need alcohol. That's all. Could make my life easier, but it doesn't really matter in that classical sense, right? So I've just made a conscious choice there. But some days I contemplate. All right. So what I'm doing here is this spot isn't seated yet, but when I screw this screw in, yeah, what we see is it's actually seating that. And now everything is in position. So now let's see, we are roughly centered. No blade play. It feels a little over tight to me. So let me loosen this a little bit. Blade play, okay. So let me tighten this a little bit. No play. Not quite centered. Let me loosen this back part a little bit here. And then re-tighten it. There. Very slightly off-center. Let me see if I can loosen this just the scotchiest of scotches. That's pretty damn close. Tighten it just a tiny touch more. That should eliminate the last of the play. Beautiful. We are back together. That was very easy. Thank you very much. Hope this has been interesting to you. Have yourselves an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.